Apparently there was a canceled Warhammer RPG that was in the works, and it was being funded by Nexon. Now, Nexon is a company that I know to make mobile titles, but apparently this was going to be for PC as well, and it could also be played on consoles. It was being made by an indie studio that was kind of being funded by Nexon, and then the whole thing got a plug pulled on it when Nexon decided no longer to continue to fund it. And so that's really a bummer, because it was going to be an Age of Sigmar game, and we don't have a lot of Age of Sigmar games. They don't tend to come up as often, and the ones that do don't always do as well. When you look at something like Realms of Ruin, was like a really cool game, amazing like art and music, and like the story was interesting to me, but the game was actually hard, and it just didn't play that well in a genre RTS that is already kind of in a tough place. And so it was kind of a bummer that that didn't work out. But anyway, this is like what a lot of people were asking for, because people were asking for like a Souls-like or like an action RPG in the Age of Sigmar universe, and like not even playing as Stormcast, playing as a person. And so like, let's take a look at kind of some of the stuff that we can see in this article. So for example, this is going to be Warhammer AOS Dark Frontier, and there's some concept art, and this concept art is really good. So here we see a bunch of cities of Sigmar, people, they're all decked out in the Hammer Hall, Gairan kind of stuff, like you can see the fallen flag there, and they're fleeing into like the woods, but there's a burning city. Maybe this is you leaving the city to then go strike out and make your way in the world, trying to scout out and find a place for all the non-combatants that escaped, and things like that. Here I don't even know necessarily where this one is, but these are some really turbulent waters, and we can see kind of a hero there at the front, some people rowing the boat. Really cool concept art. Here we've got an assassin, or not really an assassin, a whisper blade from the command corps facing off against I guess like a Nurgle champion here, and there's definitely like a corrupted keep up there that this person's going to try to infiltrate deep in the woods of Gairan. Looks really cool. We've got again this champion, looks like they've got the light of Sigmar, and a bunch of steel helms surrounding them, listening to her, whatever she's going to tell them. We're going to go fight and take back this land, blah blah blah. Although there looks like to be some sort of fortress behind them, so maybe that's where they've conquered and taken back some time. Looks like we've got a big Great Unclean One and some plague bearers and stuff, and a steel helm is the unlikely hero facing against them. And then again, this same hero, who's probably a very important story character in this game, if that was happening. And this is concept art. Everybody's a steel helm. Like you're either a steel helm or you're a whisper blade, one of the two. And then again, just fighting against. Actually, I can't even tell. This looks like it might even be orcs. Or Nurgle. It's probably Nurgle, but just it's kind of harder to tell in this shot. And then look, this is a beautiful shot of maybe pre-destruction of the city, or maybe end of game when you've founded your city. I don't know, but again, everyone's a steel helm. No, I'm not complaining about that though. This is okay. Here we go. We got a foot marshal, free guild marshal, two of them actually. One of them with a cool kind of like samurai looking helmet. And possibly a mage in the background in the middle there. And then the same hero, a hero of Sigmar that we've been seeing throughout all of this concept art. And then a very sad dying steel helm looking at his comrade, please help me out, please get me out of here. But he's already starting to corrupt and disease, and you don't bring that back to your camp, you just don't. And so that's kind of it for the concept art, but that's not all we got. So we also got some gameplay footage, and this first part actually is a cinematic, and what we're seeing here is like some sort of ancient temple. There's the hero that we were like seeing in all the concept art, kind of like maybe your story main character. And we've got some jade wizards. We've got like a collegiate arcane wizard here that's kind of in charge, and they're unlocking this door. Perhaps whatever's stored here. This is a storm vault, by chance. There is a Nurgle wizard there, and then now this is our, like, you know, your boss fight. You're fighting as a steel helm. You're fighting against this this wizard, blah blah blah. There's some objectives in the top left there. We can see fighting, like, now we're just totally in test footage, right? Again, like fighting a champion of Nurgle, like oh, there's a plague bear. We know what that looks like. So a lot of, you know, your basic, you got your ranged, you got your heavy, you got your light slash, you got your shield bash, you got your raise your shield, etc. But there's lots of things. There's dodging, there's target locking, there's sprinting, there's some sort of shift key to like switch between commands, and so that would give you options for like potions. Looks like there's some platforming and traps, and now we're over to the Whisper Blade, using various skills, techniques. We can actually see, if we pause, there's a ton of different things here. Like there's use the amulet, toggle your weapon, switch your hero, arc powder, you know, lock on, sprint, heavy attack, light attack, dodge, assessment, all these things. And now that switch hero means that, you know, we could actually possibly see this have some mobile, you know, gotcha components. It is PvE, it's not PvP, but maybe if you want to play as the Whisper Blade, that means that you've got to, you know, pull him in a gacha. Or maybe if you want to play as an Arc Knight or whatever, like the Steel Helm is your starting one. Maybe that hero that we saw, you get her as a starting character or something for the game. But all this is speculation and ultimately meaningless because the game's been canceled. But I still find it super interesting because, man, I think we all wanted, you know, I think everyone wanted this. And even if you're like, oh no, it's a mobile game, mobile monetization or whatever, and you're not into that, that's fine. Like anything that gets people into Warhammer, and specifically Warhammer Age of Sigmar, is worthy in my eyes. And just the fact that this was in works is promising for the future. And I hope that other people aren't dissuaded, because this wasn't a Warhammer pulling the plug thing. It was a Nexon pulling the plug thing. And so, you know, it wasn't like Games Workshop's like, no, I don't want this anymore. It was Nexon's deal. But yeah, that's it. That's the game that never was. And I'm disappointed, especially because it was Cities of Sigmar based and not Stormcast Eternals based. Although I'm sure that had this been a popular mobile game with success, that you could have played as a Seraphon, a Stormcast, a Daughters of Cain. You know, heck, I bet there would have even have been cool like options to play as other factions if it ever got to there. But you know, obviously it won't, and that's a shame. But you know, I think one other aspect that came up, I saw someone comment on Reddit about this online, and they said, like, holy crap, what about if there was a Age of Sigmar city builder? Because that could be part of this, right? Like you're striking out on a crusade to find a new location for your ruined city, and then there's like city building elements. Just in general, having an Age of Sigmar city builder would be super, super cool. It could have a kind of like a civilization, like not heavy combat, but you're sending out little Dawnbringer crusades to take over places, and then that's how you're forming new cities, just like you do in Civilization. But mainly there's still like lots of things you have to deal with. Are there cults in your city? Is there, you know, attacks from Skaven? Like, you know, an Orcish Wa comes through. There's so much possibility there. I think that would actually be, people always go right away like, yeah, Souls-like, we got to get a Souls-like. I think a city builder would actually be kind of cool. And I think that would be better than a Souls-like for the Age of Sigmar universe. It's so easy to have a map like in any realm. And then, you know, the cities could look different depending on which realm they're in. And then the enemies and your allies are going to look different depending on that. And there's a lot of room for some cool story, but also just incredible gameplay and just expansion of these realms. You know, getting visibility on all of these realms and selling the setting as a whole too. So that would be very cool. Let's fingers crossed that I didn't jinx it, but I hope that happens. Okay, that's gonna be it. Let me know what you think about this video game and, you know, what could have been. And otherwise, see you all soon in another video.